Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 8 NBA Cup games here on Tuesday night. So we're in the in-season tournament, now known as the NBA Cup. I'm going to be taking a look at 7 player prop projections and best bets for this slate that I have here for you guys. Quick look at the way that we've been handling this season so far. You can see it's been a little bit of an up and down road, but in the last 5 days or so, having some good times, back up 7.2 units or so to give us about 8 units up on the season, a little more than that in the NBA. So we're going to keep rolling along. I'm going to get into these player prop projections with you. So if that all sounds good, give that video a like. Let's get right into it. Quick reminder, if you don't want to miss a single play that I'm making this season and get a little bit more than just these leans from me, go ahead and check out the link in the description of the video. You can get the NBA season pass off all the plays I'm putting out there right now for 40% off if you want to go ahead and skip that monthly fee. But let's go ahead and get right into what we've got here for Tuesday. Kicking it off with JoJo. We got Joel Embiid back in action. So we got to at least take a look at it. He's at about 24.5 points, and he is coming off of a 3-game suspension, so he's probably had a little bit more rest than he would have needed if he hadn't gotten suspended. He would have been playing probably about 3 games ago. That said, it's still his first actual NBA action since last season, so we got to presume that he's not going to be playing a full 35-minute game or so. I would say 30 minutes is his cap. It wouldn't be surprising if we see him closer to 25 or 26 minutes in this one. So you want to be careful. But I will say, it's actually pretty good matchup for him against Cat. Moving forward, this Knicks team is going to need to make some changes because they have been really, really bad. Cat specifically has given up about 92% field goal percentage to the man that he's guarding, the opposing person that he's actually matched up with. Has only missed 3 shots total between all the players out of 35. So obviously not very good down low defense. This team is dead last in opponent 2-point percentage as well for the Knicks. So you can still get points off of them. I'm not scared to take overs. I just want to give him a little bit of time before I bet on Embiid. I'm going to stay away from him, but just know that he should get a few more minutes than maybe even expected because there's no way he's playing on the back-to-back tomorrow night, as we already know. A lot of props today, so I didn't have a chance to get to everything. But if you do want to go over the rest of the bets I did not yet have a chance to get to, jump in the live show today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We're doing that every weekday moving forward. You guys bring your bets, jump in the comments with those. I go ahead and share my screen and show you exactly how to find the value that you're looking for. So hope to see y'all there today. But let's at least talk about Paul George and his dimes real quick because he's been on a tear the last 2 games. We haven't had Tyrese Maxey, as we know. So he's up 10 potential assists in both of those. 8.5 assists per game is a pretty high number for the amount of potentials that he had, I will say. But I think you get a little bump in the likelihood that he gets a few more dimes with Joel Embiid back. So at about 4.5 assists, this is still a play that I'm looking deeply into right now and strongly considering because once again, this New York Knicks defense is not the same as last year. They're in the middle of the pack in terms of limiting assists overall. And I would call PG a little bit more the point guard in this game. I know we'll see some Kyle Lowry in there as well. You can consider him the point guard, but you're going to have Paul George dominating the touches on the perimeter and looking for guys for specifically, not guys like, but specifically Joel Embiid down low where he'll have a mismatch with Cat. So I do think he'll be good for a couple of dimes just off dumping it down low to the big man and watching him get some points. Giannis and the Bucks, the spiraling Bucks, are now playing a Toronto Raptors team that I don't think you want to face, to be honest. I'm not worried about a blowout. I don't think the Bucks should be given the benefit of the doubt that they can blow out anybody in the league right now. So, I mean, I kind of like Toronto to cover 8.5 points in this one, even though Emmanuel quickly is questionable. It doesn't seem like he's going to play, but he's legit about 50-50. Either way, this bet is about Giannis without Dame because Dame is not going to play in this game, already ruled out. And last season when he played without Lillard, very clearly the point guard of this team. Right now, the backup point guard is listed as Andre Jackson Jr. You do not want him running an NBA offense, I promise you. So that said, Giannis is going to be the guy with the ball in his hands the most, per usual, but even more so without Dame. And I do think he'll be looking to pass just as much as, well, almost as much as he's willing to shoot. But I mean, it's not far off to say that. Last year, he had about 17 potential assists per game in the 8 games that he played without Dame. And he went over this assist prop line in 6 of those 8 games, right? And I would say he actually should have had more assists based on the amount of potentials that he had. The other thing here is if you want to sprinkle like a fifth of a unit or so onto a triple-double at 5-1, he did that in 2 of 8 games last year. So you bet this without Dame, even if you only hit this, a fraction of the time, you're still in a good spot to make some money if this hits. So I think 0.2 units for him to get a few more assists than his prop line is at is a pretty good bet because we know he's going to get the rebounds and the points. And Toronto does give up a lot of assists, 9th most overall, and the most assists per game allowed to the power forward position. do with that what you will. I don't know if you want to even consider Giannis a power forward in this game, but the matchup's going to be great for him all over the floor. The only power forward that they even really put out there right now, I guess you'd call Chris Boucher a center, but RJ Barrett's starting at the 4, like 4, I say with air quotes, because that's not a 4. RJ Barrett's closer to a shooting guard than he is a power forward. So Giannis is going to have his way today, and I think he'll be able to find guys in the corners. I mentioned the Bucks don't have any business being favored by a good amount over another team right now. Neither do the Orlando Magic, and they're about 8.5-point favorites over the Hornets, who are going to be playing without Miles Bridges, without possibly Trey Mann, without Nick Richards or Mark Williams, so without a center. We know that. So do with that what you will, but I still think 8.5 points is too much for an Orlando Magic team to be favored right now without Paolo. Now we're talking about LaMelo Ball, though, going up against this team, and this dude is taking every shot imaginable, almost half his team shots. He had a 42% usage rate last game without Miles Bridges, who's also missing in this one. 37% on the season, even with Bridges out there. And Trey Mann not being out there means we might be seeing LaMelo for 38, 39 minutes in this game because they really don't have a backup point guard. I believe Micic is likely to play, so might even look at his props. You know, I love some Vasilije Micic backup point guard numbers, but for LaMelo, it's just about the volume here, man. Like, he's at 27.5 points. I got this at 26.5. Still think it's a good number at 27.5 because of the fact that he's just taking so many shots. 29 field goal attempts per game in the last 3, and a lot of it is from deep. He's taken 15 last game. He's taken 12. I'm sorry, he's taken 15 plus in each of the last 2 games, at least more than that in one of them. 12 plus 3 attempts in every game this season. So he's firing. He's shooting above the break. That's where you beat and how you beat this Orlando Magic defense. We know they're bad versus point guard scoring. They don't double the ball handler. LaMelo's really not looking to pass that much, and he should be able to get into the lane with decent success as well. Probably looking at the Jalen Suggs matchup. He can shoot over Suggs. We'll see if he can get around him, but I'm really not concerned. If he's going to be taking close to 30 shots, which there's no reason to expect anything less from him in this game, it's he and Brandon Miller doing the work on the perimeter. I'm going to go ahead and feel good about that. Like I said, Orlando allowing the 7th most points to the pick and roll ball handler. That's the predominant play for him. He's at about 13 points per game just off of that play. Give him a few more, plus you get those 3s in there. Feeling really good about LaMelo's points tonight. Always got to look at the team's ball handler and main playmaker when you're going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and usually you want to fade that person. And that's what I would be doing with Anthony Simons. He's got a low prop. Now it's at about 17.5 points. Thing is not only is he playing a very tough defense that he just went under a couple games ago in Minnesota when they lost by 27 points, he's also got Shaedon Sharpe in there now, taking a lot of that usage. And Shaedon Sharpe isn't as much of a household name as he should be, but this is one of the best athletes in the league. It's a dude who definitely dominates the ball when he's in there, not to the extent that like other top tier players are, but compared to when Anthony Simons has Shaedon Sharpe out there versus doesn't, his touches, his usage, everything is way higher with Shaedon Sharpe hurt, who's missed a number of games this year. And we've seen Anthony Simons be the beneficiary of that with scoring a lot of points, up at about 22 a game without Shaedon Sharpe. Well, with Shaedon Sharpe, he's at about 17 per game. And this is a Minnesota defense that is now coming into form at the wrong time for Anthony Simons, the right time for the Timberwolves. They've got about 104 defensive rating in their last 4 games. They're limiting stuff inside the paint way better than they were to start the season. Bottom 10 team limiting paint points for the first half of this season so far. In the last 5-6 games, righted the ship, obviously with Rudy down there. I just don't think Anthony Simons is going to even necessarily play that many minutes when I do consider a blowout very likely in this one. I'd actually be fine taking the Timberwolves with a ton of points at about 8.5, minus 8.5 for Minnesota. I'm still good with that because I think they put the complete clamps on this spiraling Portland Trailblazers team that seems like it's finally committed to tanking over the last few games, losing by 50 points the other night and multiple 20-point losses. And this is a 3-point defense that they're not going to get much against. And they rely too heavily on that, especially when DeAndre Ayton is unable to do what he's normally unable to do against Rudy Gobert and company. So we're going to be fading Anthony Simons in this one. Got to take another quick look at it to make sure it's what I like, but it's a very strong lean for right now. We head out to the Bay where Klay Thompson is making his return, much anticipated. A lot of narrative around the revenge and the possibility that he just goes off because, he couldn't find Golden State didn't want him. It was very obvious. This is one of those situations where Golden State did not want to pay him. They were fine with him moving on. They planned on him moving on, and he did. So you can't say that he's going to be upset with that, and we'll be looking to get a lot off. Still, he's going up against a very, very good perimeter defense that's going to be face guarding. I mean, if anybody knows how to play Klay Thompson, it's going to be the Golden State Warriors. I would be giving the edge to the defense here, not the offense. That said, like, Dallas is going to give him the ball. We know that. I definitely could. We don't know that, but I'm surmising that, and I have a strong feeling that Dallas is going to be feeding him a lot. And I just don't think it matters because Klay only scores off of these threes. If he doesn't hit the threes, he's not getting the points. You can get 2.5 threes for very low money, and I'm considering maybe like a sprinkle on 4+ threes at about plus 130, plus 140. I think that's at least worth a look. But even if he hits the 4 threes, 12 points, he needs about 16 in this game. He's not getting to the free throw line. He's not very good once he takes one dribble. So I just don't feel comfortable playing an over on Klay. I'd be fading him if anything. I'm going to stay away because it's too close. Obviously, there is that motivating factor of playing the Dubs that at least comes into play. I don't think that matters as much as the fact that this is a very good perimeter defense, but do with that what you will. I'd proceed with caution, though, with Klay. A much better Maverick to bet on in this one would be the center, Daniel Gafford, who's been playing a ton of minutes and getting a good amount of usage with Derek Lively out. Now, Derek Lively's a game-time decision, and so is PJ Washington, but it seems like they're both leaning towards not playing. I don't really want to bet on Gafford until I know they're not playing, but as soon as I know that Lively is not playing, Gafford at about 17.5 PR, if you can get it, is going to be a great look without Lively and PJ especially, but mostly just without Lively, I'd be good with it. PJ Washington's actually been substituted by Najee Marshall a lot more, so Marshall's going to be the guy playing the 4. This Warriors team much better versus power forwards than they are versus centers. And Daniel Gafford, a guy who's had plenty of success so far without Lively this season, 23 PR in the last 3 games, had one game against the Pacers where he only got 8 points in that one, but 20 PR in the season when Lively's not in there is good for me to take an over on about 17.5. And like I said, Golden State versus this position struggling because you got TJD, Trace Jackson Davis, or undersized Draymond, or slow-footed Kevon Looney that Gafford is so much faster and quicker than right now that he should be able to beat that matchup. You look at him versus the Dubs last year, went over this in 3 of 4 games, and both of the games that he played with the Mavericks, which I think is most important. So this is one where I'm really liking the opposing centers against the Dubs all season, and especially Gafford, who's been playing very, very well and has been looked at with putbacks and getting those oops as well, has been involved in the offense a lot more. One more quick reminder, outlier.bet, best tool around. It's the one I'm using on the live show each and every day, sort of as the home base. Has almost everything that you need in a one-stop shop as you're making these plays in the NBA this season. So definitely check out the link in the description of the video for 7 free days and see if you like it for yourself before making any kind of purchase. But I'm going to be on that live show today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Don't forget to jump into the description of the video to make sure you check out that VIP Discord. Also got the free Discord in there if that's your preference. So check all that stuff out. Until I see y'all next. Happy betting.